How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 54 of Trail Tales. My name is Kyle O'Grady. I'm a thru hiker. I am a peak bagger. I'm just a big hiking nerd, and on this podcast every single week I chat with a different thru hiker, a different peak bagger, and a different hiking nerd, just like myself. If you're a hiking nerd or if any of that sounds interesting to you, please hit that subscribe button and go listen to some older episodes. This week's guest is a man named Christopher Johnson. His trail name is Anubis, and he is currently on the Appalachian Trail heading southbound. He just crossed into Tennessee a few days ago. He's at a very interesting point in his thru hike because he's come a long way, but he still has enough miles left that the end really isn't in sight yet, I guess. So that's why I think it was so awesome that I was able to talk to him in this stage of his thru hike. We talk about how he's doing physically, we talk about how he's doing mentally, we talk quite a bit about the mental stuff, honestly, and it was just a great chat. Anubis, when you hear this, dude, best of luck to you, stay strong, and thank you so much for coming on the show. Let's do it again after you finish, after you get to Springer Mountain, and let's talk about your success. If you liked this episode, if you liked this conversation, be sure to let me know. You can do that through a couple different avenues. First of all, email trailtalespod@gmail.com. I used to harp on the email all the time in these introductions, and I kind of backed off, and honestly, I haven't been getting as many emails lately, so someone send me an email, please. Instagram is a thing as well, @trailtalespod. You can send me a DM. Go follow me on there. If you want to help support the show, there's a couple different things that you can do. First of all, leaving a 5-star iTunes review is a great way to help the show. In fact, I will read your 5-star iTunes review out loud at some point during an episode introduction. In fact, let's do a couple of these right now because I'm still behind. This one says, "Awesome podcast for the hiking community." Did I do this one? I might have read this one already, but here we go. Only just now discovering this podcast. Listened to a couple episodes when driving up to the Whites for a hike. Going to be fun listening to all the past episodes. That's right, it will be fun. Thank you for that review. This next one, I just need to note, it's by someone who has a username of Massive Poopies, so that is incredible. This says, "Awesome show, just found the show, started at number 1 and getting my binge on. Super chill format, like listening in on buddies just chatting. Keep them coming and I'll keep listening." Thank you very much for that review. I think I'm going to save the rest of them for the next episode, but I'm almost all caught up now. Make that difficult for me. I want to get a couple more iTunes reviews in so I can get even further behind and feel really good about myself. The other way that you can help support the show is to go check out the Trail Tales Patreon. It's patreon.com/trailtales. When you sign up, you will get a monthly bonus episode. You'll get a monthly blooper reel, and I'm honestly thinking about starting some sort of monthly live stream, like Google Hangouts kind of thing. Haven't really actually done it yet, but I'm going to be exploring that next month, I think. So if that would be interesting to you, if you want to talk to me and talk to some of the other amazing folks that are already signed up on there, I think you should go check it out. Patreon.com/trailtales. It's a great way to help support the show, cover costs, do all that stuff. And the last thing I want to say is that I have a YouTube channel now. I know you're like, "Kyle, shut up. No one cares about your stupid YouTube channel," but Kyle Hates Hiking, go check it out. I will have a link to that in the show notes as usual. I just put together a video of every single Instagram story I took on my Appalachian Trail thru hike, and I think it came out pretty cool. Gives a pretty raw, unique view into a thru hike. Anyways, yeah, go check that out, Kyle Hates Hiking. With that said, we're going to get into the episode here. My chat with Christopher Johnson, Anubis, Appalachian Trail southbound class of 2019. How's it going, everybody? This episode of Trail Tales is a first because for the first time we have a guest who is mid thru hike at the moment while we are talking. I'm joined today by Christopher Johnson. His trail name is Anubis. Dude, how's it going? Did I pronounce that trail name right? Did I get that?
Yeah, you nailed it.
Anubis? Okay. Yeah. What does that even mean, first of all? Like, I feel like I've seen that word before, but I don't actually know what it means.
Yeah, so he was the Egyptian god that prepared the heart for the next life. I got it on a different trail a couple years ago. Got into backpacking over a broken heart, and backpacking was kind of how I started to piece myself back together.
Interesting. We're not even like a minute in and we're already getting deep like that. I freaking love that, dude. This is awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your through hike. For everybody listening, we kind of put this, I mean, we kind of had a plan. Like, we actually met each other about, it was like a month and a half ago, something like that. And we kind of like, we're talking, we're like, yeah, we should totally try to do an episode, because Anubis had stopped by Burlington, even though he wasn't close to Burlington when he got off trail, but he was taking a little break or something anyways. Went to, I think it was a wedding. And
yeah, my sister's wedding.
Gotcha. And so we had a chance to like kind of catch up and get a beer together. And we were kind of talking about it, like, oh yeah, we should definitely do like an episode while you're still on trail. And we were actually kind of able to make it happen. It was just like yesterday or like 2 days ago that we were like, yeah, okay, Saturday I'm going to be taking a zero. So perfect. I was like, all right, got to make it happen then, because I obviously would be difficult with your schedule and everything. But anyways, yeah, dude, I'm stoked to have you here. First of all, you told me before we started recording that you were nervous for this. Why are you nervous to talk to me, man?
I don't think it's, I don't have an answer for that. Other people at the hostel were like, why are you nervous? Like, all we do is talk about trail. And I don't even think I talk on the phone on trail. I'm like, it's all text message, even with hostels and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
Well, you don't need to be nervous, because yeah, dude, like I said earlier, it's just going to be an extension of the conversation we had last time when we were drinking beer in Burlington, which is what I'm still doing, but obviously you are somewhere else right now. Why don't you tell everybody like where you are, like your actual location, the hostel that you're at, and kind of where you are on your through hike, like how far in you are.
So I'm at Boots Off Hostel, Hampton, Tennessee. I've been doing some slack packing. So I'm actually a little bit, I think I'm 24 miles ahead of the hostel. About, I think 1786 southbound. So I'm coming up on the 1,800 mile mark tomorrow.
Nice.
Yeah, so less than 400 miles after tomorrow.
Dude, that's fucking crazy. And like we were talking about before we started recording, I feel like this is a pretty cool time to have you on the show, because you're like deep into your through hike now. And I guess it's different for everybody, but when I was getting towards the end, I just feel like there was just so much going on, like emotionally in my head. So like I feel like we're gonna have a lot of shit to talk about today. So like you just said, you are going southbound. So I haven't talked to that many southbound AT hikers. Why don't you explain why you decided to hike the trail backwards?
No, well, first of all, the slogan for the AT is Maine to Georgia.
Shit.
Yeah, I'm walking the right direction. So I've wanted to do the AT for a couple of years now, and for a long time I kind of pictured the end of my through hike being on Katahdin. With kind of I guess I had concerns with the crowding and stuff like that in Georgia. And
yeah.
Sometimes I think there's actually a lot of kind of fear mongering with that online. Northbounders I've talked to said it wasn't quite as bad as what it's made out to be, but initially I actually wanted to do a flip flop and hike north and then flip back and hike south. And southbound just ended up actually working out really well financially, kind of stuff with my job and all that. So
gotcha.
Inadvertently walking the right direction.
I got you, man. I'm not normally one of those people that like gives like southbounders shit for going southbound. Like, I don't actually care. The reason I made fun of you there for it was because you are definitely one of those people that gives northbounders shit, because I fucking see your Instagram posts and I see your comments and stuff. So I had to get like a little like southbound, northbound chirp in there. Dude, how many like people are still hiking around you? Because I mean, again, I didn't hike southbound, so I'm not like terribly familiar with like not as familiar with like the time and the dates and all that stuff when it comes to going southbound. But like, I know you've also been getting some snow and stuff. Like, are you kind of late in the season, or is this still like a normal time for southbounders to be, you know, getting towards the end of their through hike?
I think it's still fairly normal for like the tail end.
Okay.
This year was really weird. Katahdin didn't even open till June 15th. So
damn.
So that first wave of southbounders, were only able to start 2 weeks ahead of me. So there's still, I think there's like 30 southbounders right behind me. There's probably about 30 right ahead of me. But I know when I got to Harper's, I was southbounder 144. And there was a girl I'd met in the 100-mile wilderness. She got there, I think, like a week ago, and she was 183. So
wow.
there's not many of us out here right now. Kind of small pockets of groups just kind of trying to work their way south.
Yeah, man. But it sounds like there were some other hikers in the hostel, yeah?
Yeah, there's a couple other southbounders. I think there's 4 other southbounders. And the day I got here, there were a couple that were rolling out that same day. So there's definitely still hikers around, but yeah, man, you can go a couple days without even seeing another person this time of year. It's kind of wild.
That is so fucking crazy. And then, like, I didn't even really hike in the bubble, at least for the first half of my through hike. I kind of caught up to the tail end of it for the second half. But, like, even when I was first starting out on May 14th, when there was not very many other people that were planning on doing through hikes, like, there was still a shit ton of people on the trail. There was section hikers, people doing long sections, short sections, even just weekends. And so the fact that you're saying that you can, like, go, you know, long periods of time without seeing that many people is kind of like a foreign concept to me when it comes to the Appalachian Trail. That's pretty nuts.
Yeah, it's wild. Everyone that talks about how crowded this trail is, you know, I mean, there was a lot going on in the beginning, but I'd say after Labor Day, once we were past that northbound bubble, everyone kind of went back to school. Like, work was picking back up for families and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Man, it went quiet, like real quiet.
So here's the question: what do you prefer? Did you prefer when there was, you know, slightly more people on the trail, or do you kind of like the solitude that you're getting now?
Oof. Oh man, I go back and forth with that. I don't like hiking completely by myself. I like at least having a couple people around me that I see each night or I'm hiking with throughout the day. Those periods where I don't see anyone is kind of nice. But it gets real weird. Like, I'll think I see a tent up in the distance and I get excited. It's a person and it turns out to be a rock. So yeah, it's, I definitely prefer some people around, but like New Hampshire, Vermont, I felt like there was almost too much going on.
Yeah.
With Boy Scout troops and the college orientations and northbounders and southbounders and section hikers, that was a little bit overwhelming. So, I mean, when I'm around some people, it's nice, but like tomorrow I'm going to hike into Roan Highlands, just me and my dog. The couple I've been hiking with are off trail for a week for Thanksgiving, and I'm kind of dreading it, honestly.
Interesting. Yeah, dude, I don't know how, like, I would, dude, honestly, I feel like, I mean, if I could be really picky, I would say less people than I saw on the trail, but not like as like the low amount that you're seeing, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't really like just being by myself like that. At the same time, I think it would be cool if there was less people on the trail, but I could still like hike with like a crew, you know, and we could kind of just like rock that shit like on our own. Like, I think that'd be kind of cool, but it sounds like you're not really hiking with like an established like a group of people right now.
No, and so I was up north, and I alluded to me and my dog. She joined me in Harper's, and so I slowed down for that, and my group kind of pulled ahead of me. Mm-hmm. So if I hadn't have picked her up, I would still be with some kind of group. So there's been kind of that part of it too. Yeah.
So you're going to have to remind me again, how far have you been hiking with your dog now?
So I guess it was around mile 1100. She joined me. We're coming up on 1800. She took a break for Shenandoah. So that was 100 miles that she skipped, and I kind of went at my own pace. And then I've been doing a thing lately where like I'll get to a hostel, she takes a 0 day, I slack pack while she rests, and then the next day we head out. So, yeah, I guess about 600 or 700 miles, but there's miles there that she's been resting while I was still hiking.
I gotcha. Yeah. Is she a fairly, this feels so weird to say about a dog, but is she like a pretty experienced like hiker? Has she done, you know, longer, you know, not a full length through hike, I'm assuming, but has she done like extended backpacking trips before the Appalachian Trail here?
Yeah. So she's done the Northville Placid Trail. I guess you like to call it the Northville 2 Placid Trail for some reason.
Dude, I still don't know what the fuck it's called, honestly. That's a tricky one.
Yeah, she did that. The Massanutten Trail in Virginia, half of the Tuscarora Trail, a huge lash in 2016 on the Appalachian Trail. So she's definitely a very experienced backpacking dog. She knows what's going on. She has trail etiquette. She was kind of raised on the trail.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was... When I was in the Whites, she had to have surgery for a cyst on her leg, so she wasn't getting much exercise by the time I picked her up, and I just had to really slow my pace down and build her trail legs back up. So that was a whole other challenge all on its own.
Yeah, definitely, because, dude, I personally, like, I don't know how I would, like, be able to deal with that. Like, I wouldn't, honestly, because, like, especially, like, by the point, like, if you're halfway, there's no way I was gonna, like, just slow down my pace like that. I think that's pretty incredible. Now, again, like, obviously it's not my dog, so that's easy for me to say because I don't have any sort of, like, emotional attachment to it. But I don't know. Was that, like, were you super frustrated about that at first, or were you just, like, so excited to be hiking with your dog again that, like, you didn't even care?
Oh, man. It was an exercise in love and patience.
Yeah,
I went from doing 25s and 30s. I picked her up. We were doing 7 to 10. It took us 1 week to do 55 miles after Harper's Ferry. So it was, and that was when she needed a break. I wanted to give her some time off. I went into the Shenandoahs, gave her 4 days off while I kind of knocked that out. But it's definitely, it's altered the way my through hike feels and looks. When it's all said and done, I'll have definitely some kind of synopsis on what it's like to hike half the trail by yourself and then half the trail with your dog. There's very huge different dynamics with it.
I probably should have done this at the beginning of the episode, but I suck and I didn't. So why don't you, like, give a little bit more of an introduction to, like, who you are? Because obviously you've already alluded to, like, a bunch of other stuff that you've hiked. And so I kind of want to give people, I usually do this at the beginning, like I just said, but I was just kind of not paying attention, I guess. I don't even know. Yeah, why don't you talk about, like, who you are exactly and kind of give, like, your hiking background, your hiking, I feel like such a pretentious asshole when I say this, but, like, your hiking resume, if you will.
Actually, this is one of the things I was kind of nervous about because I know my resume, quote unquote, it's not as impressive as other guests that you've had.
Oh, boo-hoo. Dude, come on. You're about to finish the fucking AT. You've already done the Northville Placid Trail. A trail that I failed at, by the way, just so we're completely clear here.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to, like, fucking hype yourself up, dude. I just want to, like, get an idea for what you've done, and just because you might not have done as many miles as, like, some of the other people I've had on, like, I'm guessing you've still probably done more miles than I even have, so you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, so I like I alluded to with the trail name, got into backpacking, kind of just under weird circumstances. I guess it was about 2015, I think. So it hasn't really been that long. Kind of had backpacking stuff laying around the house for, like, overnighters with friends and stuff like that. But packed up my stuff one day with Winnie, and we went out for 3 days. I think we did like 12 miles that first, like, 3-day trip. I was in blue jeans and just the whole thing. Man, and just fell in love and started going out each weekend. Trips started getting longer. And then we tackled our first quote unquote long trail. It was like 71 miles. And the whole thing was just, it was a train wreck. My boots blew out. They were Walmart boots. Like, I was trying to tape it together with duct tape and I was hooked. And, so after that we knocked out the southern half of the Tuscarora Trail, which is I think it was actually going to be routed as a AT reroute from Shenandoah up through Pennsylvania. Later did Northville Placid Trail, attempted the Cohos Trail, but I got hurt on the first day.
Oh, shit.
And, I'd like to go back and still do that. 2016, we knocked out, I guess about a third of the Appalachian Trail. Just with vacations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And, basically my vacations were just spent hiking. anytime a holiday was coming up, my coworkers knew like, oh, Chris is about to take, 2 weeks off and go hiking. And, knocked out a portion of the Allegheny Trail, just kind of a bunch of smaller long trails, I guess, long trails. I don't know if that's an oxymoron or not.
I mean, I know what you mean. Just kind of stuff around, like, so because you're located, or when you're not on trail, when you're not like freaking, in the middle of a thru hike like you're at right now, you're located in what was it? I know it was Virginia. Was it Northern Virginia?
Yeah, Winchester, Virginia. So I'm like 30 minutes away from Front Royal.
Okay. So that's that's like a pretty good location though for a long distance hiker, because like you're close to the AT, and then you're also just close to like pretty much anything that's like within like the center East Coast area, I guess. And then even with like, a longer drive, you can get up to like the Whites or the Adirondacks like you did for the Cohos and Northville Placid trails. And you can even go down to like the Smokies, or obviously Shenandoah's right there too. So like you're pretty close to like a wide variety of stuff if you're willing to kind of put in the hours in the car,
Yeah, Virginia is like prime location for anything on the East Coast. And I can get to the White Mountains in like 10 hours, I think. And I have friends in New York City. It takes them the same amount of time to get to the Whites because they have to get out of the city.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great location.
Yeah. How far are you to the Smokies driving?
I think not far. I think like 6 hours, maybe at most.
So a little bit closer than the Whites then?
Yeah.
So you're probably closer to the Adirondacks than I'm looking on Google Maps right now, as I often do during these episodes. You're closer to you could probably get to the Adirondacks in a little bit less time than the Whites even.
Yeah, when I finished the Northville Placid Trail, it took me 8 hours to drive home.
Okay, so yeah, that's because Southern Adirondacks. Or actually, I don't know. Did you hike southbound or northbound?
I went northbound.
Okay.
I finished in Lake Placid.
Okay, Central Adirondacks. Then I stand corrected. Even a little bit northern. Google Maps freaking distracting me over here, dude. That is pretty cool. It's like here in Burlington, it's nice because I'm so close to both the Adirondacks and the Whites, as in like an hour and a half to 2.5 hour drive to each location depending on which trailhead I'm going to. But at the same time, I don't have as much like variety. It's pretty much either one of those two places, or I could go on the long trail somewhere, but there's not quite as much there if I want to do like a loop or something. And plus I've already done all of it like multiple times. But like you have the longer drive depending on where you're going, but you just have so many other options. And I feel like that's something I never really thought about too much. I talked about it a little bit with Syntax 77 when he came on a number of months ago now, but that is like pretty nice for someone who's like a backpacking nerd, a hiking nerd like us. I don't know, maybe I'll have to consider like moving down to that area someday. You're also close to like what is it, like the Dolly Sods and some of the hiking in West
Roaring
Virginia
Plains,
as well?
Yeah, Canaan Valley, that whole section, yeah. I love snowshoeing out there, and I'm like an hour from like the Dolly Sods area.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty sweet. Why don't we get back on track talking about your thru hike? I don't want to fucking... Here I am, like, talking to someone who's in the middle of a thru hike, and I'm just going to talk about his fucking home the whole time. Hopefully that's not going to, like, bug you too much. Make you homesick. So I guess that's a good segue. How are you feeling right now? So you said you have what, like, did I hear you correctly, 400-ish miles to go, something like that?
Yeah, I think, like 412, I think.
So how?
Yeah, I'm bad at math.
How are you feeling right now? Like, you still got like that's still a lot of miles, obviously, but you've obviously also come a lot further than that. So yeah, how like mentally, how are you feeling right now?
So actually, I'm feeling pretty good now. I just pulled out of my third quote unquote funk, I guess. Getting closer to Grayson Highlands and getting excited about that. And then, hitting the 3/4 way mark, crossing into Tennessee has really kind of made things exciting again.
Yeah, man.
But man, it wasn't that long ago that I guess it was the Catawba area. Oh, I was like a couple bad days away from just throwing in the towel.
Oh, really, dude?
Yeah, I was having a real hard time through that area. Hit McAfee Knob on a Sunday. It was just crowded. I was alone. Was feeling homesick. And
plus, and I'm gonna cut you off here, but I wonder if it makes it worse too that you were like kind of still like pretty close to where you live too, you know?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't get homesick, and I got homesick. And, people that I'm real close to, I'm like, I'm homesick. And they're like, dude, I've never heard you say that before.
Damn.
And, yeah, so that was the third time that I was like, fuck, like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And, pulled out of it, I guess around the Atkins area. Like I said, once I was getting closer to Grayson Highlands, and, now I'm at a point, I'm super stoked to get into Roan Highlands.
Yes, dude, you should be. That was honestly one of my favorite sections of the whole trail.
Yeah, that's what people say. So we're basically trekking into that tomorrow. So yeah, I'm definitely in a place where I'm excited again, but, also it's starting to feel kind of weird because I know, like 400 miles, to like a regular person sounds like a bunch of miles, but to us, it's like, wow, like this thing is going to be over in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude, that's pretty incredible. And kind of going back to the fact that you're so close to home, and I haven't experienced this, but I just feel like, I don't know, if I was like having a hard time mentally and I was that close to where I live, I just feel like that would make it even easier to make that decision to get off the trail. I feel like that almost just adds like an extra like aspect into kind of making that sort of decision, and maybe something else that could kind of like eat at you a little bit, because if you're from like Virginia and you're out on the PCT and like you want to quit, it's like, I mean, obviously like you still might quit, but the fact that you're not close to home, so like that's not going to play any sort of decision in your, or any sort of role in your decision rather, but the fact that you're like so close that I feel like it would almost like tempt me. I don't know. I know I just asked you this question basically, but did that like happen at all? Do you think that you would have had such a rough time, a couple days ago if you hadn't been within, such a short distance from your home?
I think that probably played some into it. I mean, I know Virginia real well on the AT, so I knew, the shitty climb that's about to come up, or, don't stay at that shelter. Like, I knew all that, and it was kind of, I don't know, I was hiking through stuff I'd done before. Man, Virginia's long too.
Yeah, dude, that's honestly another, like, here I am like harping on the home thing, but honestly, that's like obviously a huge like factor too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was wild going, like Mass was a couple days, Connecticut, like you blink and it's gone, like New York, New Jersey, all of a sudden you're in PA, like things were happening so quick, and then all of a sudden you're in Virginia, and it's like, fuck, man, this thing takes forever.
Yeah, dude. So you would say you definitely caught a case of the Virginia blues?
I think so. I think it was different than for northbounders. I think, what northbounders go through in Virginia is what we went through in the Mid-Atlantic. We were calling it the Mid-Atlantic blues. Mm-hmm. Reality's set in, water sources are drying up, like, oh man, this is my life. Like, this is what I'm doing every day. So I think it was probably maybe like an extension of that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. That definitely makes sense. We're probably going to come back to the mental stuff later, because as my listeners know, I love talking about this stuff. But how about physically? How are you feeling physically? So you've obviously done a shit ton of miles, but you've still got enough to go where, like, you're still going to have to put your body through some shit. It's not like you're at the very, very end where you can kind of just lay it all out there and it doesn't really matter, how you react, because you're almost done. So yeah, dude, how are you feeling physically?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
So I'm still, like climbing mountains and not stopping. I can, walk and walk and walk and walk. I'm starting to drop weight again, which has been a little concerning. So I'm trying to switch some things up in my diet. My knees, man, so Southern Maine and the Whites just destroyed my knees. And then coming into Virginia, they started feeling better. And then the past couple days, like, it's starting to, I don't know, I feel like things are kind of breaking down, which I think is normal at this kind of juncture. Mm-hmm. So yeah, physically, I mean, I still feel good. But I've been noticing, it used to be I'd get to camp, take off my trail runners, put on my camp shoes. I'd have that hiker hobble. But I'm noticing, like, when I sit down to take second breakfast or lunch or whatever, when I stand back up, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And really want to just like sit back down. But Still doing the same miles and all that. Not in pain per se, but I'm definitely at that point where it's like, man, I'm tired.
Yeah, dude. Definitely. I mean, I'm sure you'll be able to hold out, but yeah, dude, it definitely takes its toll after a while. And I know you guys have been getting some colder weather, so I'm assuming you probably had to add some weight to your pack and grab some warmer gear, yeah?
Yeah, I swapped out my winter gear. Front Royal, I think, is when I picked up my winter gear. So swapped out my sleeping bag, picked up leggings and gloves and beanies and, all that stuff. So the pack definitely got heavier. And also, I do think, we've seen snow a couple times.
It snows in the south? Wait a minute.
Yeah. Everyone is like, oh, just get further south. And it's like, no, those mountains are bigger.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, shit, they get even fucking taller the further south you go.
Yeah, actually, I think Roan Mountain is supposed to get snow tonight, which was part of my plan for my zero, so I wasn't stuck in that. But I do think that the cold it's starting to kind of take its toll physically as well.
Is that normal for the southern mountains this time of year? I know they still get some snow, but like in November still? Because even up here in Vermont, like it's not, I mean, it's not like uncommon for that to happen, but it's not like the norm either for us to have like a decent amount of snow this early on in the winter, I guess. And I don't even know if it's technically winter yet, but is that like normal for the southern mountains? Because I feel like even during the winter, they don't even like get that much snow. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't think so. So it was funny. You remember meeting Spitfire in Burlington?
Yeah.
She was telling me like the temperatures up there in New Hampshire, and it was colder where I was at.
Interesting.
And we're actually the section I'm in. My understanding is we've actually been colder than in the Smokies, so it's kind of
it's just following you, dude.
Yeah, like there's this winter pocket like following me, like, oh, I'm gonna snow and be cold and rain, and so no, I don't think that it's normal for it to happen this early. I think we're just kind of catching a really weird weather pattern with kind of what's going on.
Yeah, dude, that's weird. Hopefully it starts to work out for you. How long ago did the snow or like wintry conditions start? Like how long have you had to deal with that?
Ooh, hiking in the Shenandoah is when I saw my first below freezing temperatures. There's a lot of wind and each night was dropping into the 20s. I saw snow for the first time. It was Rice Field Shelter outside of Parisburg.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, is that fucking normal? I feel like, I don't know. It just feels like to me, like if you hike southbound, you have less of a chance of seeing winter weather because like you're in the south by the end when it's like the seasons are getting colder like that. Maybe I just don't know. I definitely don't know that much about hiking southbound, but that just like surprises me for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, it was crazy because when I woke up to snow outside of Parisburg, I felt like I was late to the party of southbounders that had seen snow. So I remember even posting a picture of Winnie like in the snow, and I was like, oh, I've finally joined, everyone else that's on the trail that's seen snow. So it's weird. People are starting to like write, like mile, oh, I'm at 1800, and they just like write it in the snow.
Damn.
Yeah,
holy
it's gotten
shit,
weird.
Dude. Fucking A, like, oh, dude, I don't know. I was talking to a IBTAT in my last episode, and I'm not going to compare your circumstance to his because he was hiking through like legitimate fucking like winter conditions like by the end of his PCT. Yeah, what he was doing was
insane.
Yeah, I know it's different for you obviously, but like even any snow, any sort of like freezing temperatures at all, like is fucking hard to deal with on a through hike. I mean, I don't know, like I don't even know what to freaking ask about this, dude. Like, has that like do you think that's played a role in like kind of some of the mental struggles that you've been having lately?
Oh yeah. And in fact, after Parisburg was when we got hit with the first polar vortex, and there was a bunch of us taking zeros at hostels all over the place. Ridgeline temperatures at night were like 6 degrees.
Jesus Christ.
And me and 2 other hikers, we decided, looking back on it, it was foolish, but we did a 34.1 mile slack pack and it was through like 4 or 5 inches of snow. Our trail runners were wet. Like by the time we got back to the house, it was 9 o'clock at night.
Jesus.
Things are freezing, and it was like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
I guess that would make sense, like why you've been slack packing lately too, with those shitty conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
All right, so we're kind of harping on some of the bad stuff here. Let's talk about some of the good stuff, dude. I don't know this is such a generic question, but I mean, it's fresh on your mind. So what has been like your favorite, and I'm going to leave this up to your interpretation as far as how specific or as not specific as you want to be. What has been your like favorite stretch of the trail thus far?
Ooh. Oh man. I'm still gonna stick with Southern Maine.
Really? That early on,
huh?
Dude, that was like my worst fucking stretch of the whole trail. That's crazy.
I think, at the time there were a lot of southbounders. I was with like a big group of people. And I mean, every day was just kicking our ass. Like we're trying to get our trail legs, but it just felt so fresh and so new, and everything felt exciting, and like the views and just everything that was going on. Maine will definitely always be my favorite state. Yeah, I mean, to this day, the saddlebacks are still my favorite part of the trail.
Interesting. How was Vermont?
Vermont was good.
That's how I've been drinking a little bit when I start fucking trying to get people to massage Vermont, hype up Vermont.
Yeah, I actually had great weather through Vermont until it was like the last 3 days, I think, was when the rain rolled in, and then it became Vermud at that point.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, I've battled in my head what my second favorite state is. Sometimes I think it's Massachusetts. Sometimes I think it's Vermont. I think Vermont's probably going to end up taking number 2.
Right answer. That is the correct answer. Actually, I guess I'd prefer it to be number 1, but shit, I'll take what I can get. When I did an episode with my buddy Mullet Mike, we like ranked the states like from best to worst or whatever. And I don't remember what he ranked Vermont at, but I do remember that it was way lower than I wanted it to be. Like it was like number I don't even know, like number 10 or number 11 or something like that.
Oh,
and
weird.
I was so
yeah,
mad.
That's way low.
Yeah, it was because of the mud, I think, which is fair. It was pretty muddy when we went through there, but I don't know. That was unfortunate because obviously I like Vermont.
Yeah, I think from a southbounder's perspective too, like you get through Southern Maine, you get through the Whites, you get into like, I guess it would be Southern New Hampshire, Smarts Mountain and all that. And all of a sudden you cross into Vermont and oh man, Vermont to us was like gentle rolling hills.
Yeah, especially that first like couple days that you're going through there too. If you're going southbound, definitely that makes a lot of sense. And it's kind of the opposite too if you're going northbound. I mean, obviously Vermont isn't as tough, or at least the AT section of Vermont isn't as well. I'm talking about the long trail there, so that doesn't even make sense. We're talking about the AT. Yeah, the Vermont section isn't like as tough as the Whites, but if you're going northbound, it is like a little bit tougher than like Massachusetts and certainly Connecticut, because you do kind of get some bigger climbs. You get like I guess Bromley is decent, and then certainly Killington, and there's one other peak I can't even remember the name of it.
I remember Stratton.
And Glastonbury too. It's like you do kind of start to get into some bigger stuff. I don't know. So you mentioned, I'm gonna go back to the mental stuff here. You mentioned that you had like 3. I don't know what the word you used was, like 3 episodes of like mental struggle or whatever you want to call it. What were I feel like we kind of just talked about the third one. What were the first 2? When did those kind of hit you?
The first one was in the Whites. Mount Garfield will always be like the place where I was like, what am I doing? Like, I
Very
just wanted
specific.
to throw
Damn, you still remember the exact. And there's a lot of mountains that you go over there. Like there's.
I remember the exact day. I'd been feeling kind of off for a couple days, but climbing up Mount Garfield, I was supposed to get to, I think it was Greenleaf Hut in Franconia, and I was like climbing up Mount Garfield, and for a southbounder, like you're climbing up this waterfall, and I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, oh my goodness, if it's like this all the way up. And then I got to do this down, and then it's like this up Lafayette, Lincoln. I was like, I can't do this. And I ended up, I think I made it like 6 miles that day. and was talking to people. I stayed at Garfield Ridge campsite, like one of the pay campsites.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like talking to people. I was like, I need to get into town. I need to I'm like ready to quit. And yeah, made a beeline up over Garfield, up into Franconia, down in the North Woodstock, and double zeroed. I was like, I need to reset everything. And then the second time, when I got off for my sister's wedding in Pennsylvania, I'd been pushing my body really hard. I was getting ahead of my group so I could take, some time off for the wedding. And when I got on the train in Burlington to head back to DC, I had to force myself back on trail. I just, I'd spent a week basically, I'm wearing blue jeans. I have a cotton t-shirt on, I'm hanging out with my family. I'm going out to eat, just all the normal person stuff. And I was like, man, do I even want to go back? And, especially, it was so dry at the time and water carries were crazy. And, yeah, I had to basically force myself back on trail. I did not want to come back.
Interesting. Cause yeah. I know we didn't spend that much time together, but it seemed like you were still pretty stoked on it when we, caught up and got a beer there.
Yeah. Honestly, it didn't hit me until, like I said, goodbye to my parents and my sister and just everything that was going on up there. Got on the train and I was just sitting there. I was like, man, and don't get me wrong, this whole journey has been amazing. These are just pockets. Of course.
Yeah.
And even the last mental funk I went through, I was thinking about home a lot, but man, I definitely thought about Springer Mountain and that final blaze a lot more. So I definitely don't want to give the wrong impression.
Of course. And I'm asking you these questions, so it's not like you're just complaining out of the blue about all this stuff, dude. I know. I think it's fascinating. I like to talk about the mental stuff. I've only done one dedicated gear episode after this will be number 54, I think, out of 54 episodes. And that's because I think the mental stuff is, for me, it's more interesting, and I also think it's just more important for people who are prepping for thru hikes and stuff. So that's why I'm asking you this. I'm not trying to get you to fucking break down here and and give in. But on that note, another mental question incoming right now. How have you been able to kind of pull yourself out of these funks? How have you been able to keep yourself going when you're kind of starting to feel like shit, maybe this isn't something I want to keep doing,
Yeah, so I talk to the people around me. And as ridiculous as this sounds, I'm brutally honest on social media. And, I put it out there, this is how I'm feeling. I'm not having a good time. The amount of support that pours in after that, text messages, DMs, stuff like that. It definitely, and especially northbounders that I met they're now home. They're not on trail anymore. They're like, dude, I remember what it felt like to feel that way. Keep going. Mm-hmm. I wish I was on trail with you. Kind of between the people around me, my network of friends back home, and then the network of hikers that I've met that are now done, they're finished, that can relate to how that felt, kind of push me back in the right direction. Not that I should, look for validation on social media, but it's definitely a great networking platform. And, yeah, that's predominantly how I've dealt with it.
Interesting, dude. That's honestly, I not that I really was expecting you to give any answer, but that surprises me, I guess. I don't know. That kind of caught me off guard. Why don't we talk a little bit about social media and photography and all that stuff? So for everybody listening, first of all, I'm going to have you plug your shit at the end as well, but why don't you just plug your Instagram real quick now, because this dude has a great Instagram. Everybody, you should definitely go follow him. What's your handle?
A walk with Winnie. Winnie's my dog. With underscores in between each word.
Cool, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes as always, so if you're too lazy to type in all those underscores, you can just click that shit. But yeah, dude, so you are a great photographer. I know we talked about this a lot when we caught up, whenever that was, a couple months ago or whatever, a month ago. Yeah, dude. Like, how did you like get into like photography and like why bring a full DSLR with you on a through hike? Like, I can see it for like a section hike or like a weekend hike because you're only out for a couple days, but like you're hiking fucking thousands of miles and you're carrying around, I'm assuming at least like a pound and a half of camera gear. Like, why kind of put yourself through that?
Plus the charging device and all that.
Batteries and shit, yeah.
Yeah, I carry extra batteries. And so it's funny because I actually got into photography because I had a Samsung phone that took great pictures, and then it took a poop. And I ended up with an iPhone, and the pictures weren't the same. As far as like Instagram and stuff like that. And I went down to Best Buy, bought like some cheap camera. Had no clue what I was doing with it. Like I kept messing around with the settings. I was trying to like watch YouTube stuff and read all this stuff online, and later upgraded. I don't have the greatest camera. I have a Canon Rebel, but I upgraded to that and wanted to upgrade again before the through hike. Just the money wasn't there, but I basically got to a point when I got my first camera that I refused to ever post a picture that I took on my phone. Like if I couldn't figure it out on my camera, then I just couldn't figure it out. And you can see me romping up and down mountains with a huge camera clipped to my shoulder strap.
How have you been like keeping it dry now that you've been seeing like a lot of like precipitation and rain and snow and stuff?
Yeah, the clip I have, I think it's like Mojo something. I don't know. It's like something I can screw into the part of the camera where you would put, screw it onto a tripod.
Mm-hmm.
So in inclement weather, I just put a gallon-sized Ziploc bag over the camera and then screw that piece in through the bag and then zip it shut, and it hasn't caused me any problems.
Interesting. That's not a bad idea. I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, and it's once I've tightened it down real tight, there's no water getting in. I can still peel the bag back, take a picture, zip it back up, clip it back to my shoulder strap. So. And
I'm assuming the Rebel isn't weather sealed, right?
No. I don't think it is. I doubt it. It's not. It's like a $500 camera. It's not anything super expensive.
Dude, I'm kind of surprised that you like haven't like fucking busted your camera at this point. I feel like, cause again, I was talking to IVTAT about this last episode, and like I feel like it's hard to do a through hike with a freaking camera and like have it arrive in one piece, like I feel like if you were to break a camera on a through hike, like you couldn't even be mad about it because like you're just putting it through so much. But shit, you must take pretty, like, do you baby it? Like, do you take pretty good care of it?
I should probably take better care of it. I try.
Well, you're doing something right if it hasn't fucking broken yet, dude.
I think just basically where it's clipped, it's not, I'm not like crawling around on my stomach or anything like that. So it's kind of in a safe place, I guess. But, honestly, I'm surprised that it actually lasted this long. Everyone up north told me like, oh, you're going to mail it home in Maine. Like, it's not going to survive the whites. Like,
it's not going to survive. Like, what about the whites specifically is like going to break someone's teeth? That shit's so ridiculous. People hype so much shit up. Like, I made a YouTube video about like some of the shit that people say, like stuff like that. And like, yeah, it's ridiculous, but dude, that's incredible. And I will say you definitely take some awesome pictures. I've had a great time following your hike on Instagram and seeing all that sort of content. Like it's sweet. And I wonder if like, actually, fuck, I totally lost my train of thought. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I gotta stop drinking when I do these because I always fuck up.
Yeah, I, on the other hand, have gotten more comfortable, so.
I don't even know. How about, like, editing? So, I know we talked about this a little bit in person, but I'll have you kind of reiterate some of that stuff for everybody listening. Do you... Actually, hold on. We'll take a step even further back than that, because, like, I'm trying to get into photography, so I'm going to ask you some of these, nerdy technical questions. Are you usually shooting like manual when you take photos on the trail? Are you like adjusting settings sometimes? Like how are you doing that? Because, and I'm asking because like you take fucking awesome photos, like you're doing a great job. And so I'm just kind of curious and hoping that maybe I can like kind of rip off some of your shit and like.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I typically shoot in aperture priority.
Okay.
I think I think a lot of people actually do shoot in manual. The only time I go to manual is if I'm trying to do, the Milky Way or something like that. But I keep it in aperture priority. And I basically I have it set at the lowest aperture setting unless, like I'm shooting into the sun. Then I'll adjust the aperture. I took a photo recently. It was like a rhododendron tunnel. The sun was kind of like shining through the rhododendrons.
Mm-hmm.
And I switched the aperture. God, I think they're like 22, but I got kind of that star look to it. But outside of that, I really like that blur in the background. So I try to set it. The aperture gets weird. So it's like the lowest setting, but it's like the widest. I don't know. I don't know why they do it like, if you
that kind of tripped me up at first too. Yeah.
Oh, it's confusing. So I predominantly shoot in aperture priority.
Gotcha. That's kind of what I've been doing as well, but I don't know. I got a new lens recently, and like that, I've been trying to play around with like manual a little bit more. But I feel like for trail though, for the most part, you're either taking like a wide shot or you're taking like a close up, so you can kind of like there's not much in between there. So I don't know. For everybody listening, if you don't know about photography, aperture is basically how much light is let in to the lens. So like I don't know. So like a wide aperture would let more light in, obviously, and then that also would like blur the background, like give more depth of field. So if you're doing like a close-up or like a portrait and you want like the background to be super like blurry, then you'd want a wider aperture. But how about like editing, dude? So you're editing not mostly, you are editing like all on your phone before you post.
Exclusively in Lightroom.
In Lightroom, okay, cool.
Yeah. And actually when I'm done with this hike, it's basically the only answer to any question I've gotten on this hike is I know I want to continue doing something with photography. So I want to upgrade my system when I get home, but I also want to get a computer.
You don't have a computer?
I'm 37 years old, never owned a computer, man.
Dude, that kills me inside because like I'm such like a technical like software developer. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, so when I get home, definitely want to get a computer because I know there's more stuff I can do with Lightroom on the computer than I can do on my phone. But there's like a Wi-Fi thing on my camera. I can stream photos straight over to my phone, do a quick edit. I guess I edit it basically the same way each time, save it, and then post it to Instagram.
Damn, dude. I don't know. Do you ever like feel not like burnt out on taking photos, but does it ever feel like a burden at all? Like, I know like a lot of the time you're probably like super stoked on it, but do you ever feel like you're taking photos when you don't really want to and that you're just doing it like kind of just to do it? Does it ever kind of like get in the way of your hike at all?
No.
That's good. Anything, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So I think like my perspective on it is like in the real world when people are like, oh, what's your hobby? I'm like, oh, I like hiking. Well, now like I'm hiking. That's just what I do. I like walk every day. So you need like a different hobby. And my hobby is definitely photography.
That's so good, dude.
Yeah. So it's like I'll be bebopping along and I'll see something and like that's when I actually stop and I start taking pictures. And I think I'm at like 8,000. I'm definitely over 8,000 photos so far on this through hike. I got a lot to go through when I go home.
Yeah, man. Have you been just like shipping memory cards home like once you fill them up?
So I'm still on my first memory card somehow.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was Port Clinton in Pennsylvania. I caught an Uber to Williamstown or whatever it was, went to the Walmart, resupplied. I was like, I've got to be filling this memory card up. I need to buy another one. But since I don't know much about like technology, I bought 128 like mega giggle or whatever card. I don't know. Gigabyte card. And then I looked at the one I had in my camera and it was, I think 32. And I was like, I don't even know how many photos this thing can hold. So I'm lugging around an extra memory card right now that I don't even know if I'm going to use on this through hike.
Wait, so you haven't even used the 128 yet?
I haven't popped it in there yet. So I shoot in JPEG though. I don't shoot in RAW.
Okay, so the files take up a lot less space.
Yeah, and I don't think I can stream over RAW photos through Wi-Fi. I think I need like some connector piece.
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if the phones can deal with those files. I'm not sure. I've never tried, but maybe they can. But I don't know.
I just shoot in JPEG. When I get home, I'll start doing RAW.
Damn, man, dude, that's so funny. And you're not taking videos either, because videos take up a lot of space, obviously.
No, I just do videos on my phone.
Yeah, I got you, man. Dude, that's that's so funny. You don't even know what gigabytes are. I love that shit.
Yeah, what I call it, mega giggles or something.
Mega giggles. Oh, dude, that's so good. Shit, dude, you totally threw me off my game there. You should definitely get a computer. I was going to say you should build one because you'll get a lot more bang for your buck, but if you don't even know what a gigabyte is, then maybe you hold off on that. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with technology. It makes me feel like I'm an old person, and I'm not. I just, somewhere along the lines, never kept up.
You're on the trail. You don't need to. You need to know how to use your phone and your camera, and that's about it. So, damn, dude. We're getting close to the end here. Dude, I don't know, where should we go from here, man? We probably have time to cover like one more topic before we get into the story. Is there anything that I haven't brought up so far that you think would be important, given you're literally in the middle of the fucking trail right now?
Whew. Oh, man. We covered emotions, we covered photography, we talked about my dog. Ah, man, I can't really think of anything. I mean, I'm starting to think about like what I'm going to do when I get home.
I got something.
Post-show depression and all that, yeah.
Nah, we're going way less serious than that. So I saw today that you ate 12 corn dogs. Is that correct?
Yes, I actually did that 2 days in a row.
So in the last 48 hours, you've eaten 24 corn dogs.
Yes, well, a lot more than that too.
I mean, obviously you've eaten like more food than that, but like just 24 fucking corn dogs in 2 days. Like what? That's. Dude, I love the hiker hunger, honestly, dude.
Oh my god, no! I can't stop eating.
I like just made this compilation of all my Instagram stories from my thru hike, and like I put them into one video and put it up on YouTube. And so I was like going through like all my videos. And I posted a lot of shit on my story, like kind of bragging about how much food I could eat. So when I saw you post that about the corn dogs, like that's so fucking funny. Was it easy? Was it like you struggled to get those down, but you did?
No, there was no struggle.
So like you finished the 12 and you were like, fuck, I could literally eat more right now.
Yeah, I looked at 2 other thru hikers and I was like, if I had 6 more corn dogs, I could eat them.
So why didn't you eat more? Is it just because you didn't have them?
I only bought 12.
Okay, first of all, where did you buy these corn dogs from? Were they like
at the hostel. Yeah, I got shuttled up to the grocery store.
Okay, I got you. I wasn't sure if you were at like a restaurant or something and you were like, I'd like to order 12 corn dogs, please. Like, that's fine. God damn, dude, that's so funny.
I'm trying to avoid restaurants now because I'll go in and order, 3 appetizers and entree, and then get done with all that, and I want to order another entree, and all of a sudden I have like a $60 bill, and I'm like, okay, like I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go to the grocery store. I'm going to buy as much food as I think I'm going to eat and just keep microwaving stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's not a bad idea, honestly, because I kind of ran into the same problem because I was eating so much too. Like, I would, just one person, I would spend like, 40 to 50, maybe not 50. That's kind of pushing it, depending on where I was going. If it was like a more expensive place for trail standards, yeah, it could be like 40 to 50 bucks. And so like, that's not a bad idea. Like, just go to the grocery store and get shit instead. But I don't know. I was a little bit too picky, though. I feel like I'm generally not a fan of like cheap, like microwave food. Like, I like something fresh. So that's definitely a pro tip for everybody out there. If you can stomach that kind of shit, you'll save a lot of money doing that. What's like your, besides corn dogs, like what's like your go-to like pig out in town food?
Pizza. Always pizza.
I feel like you get like a lot of bang for your buck, at least if you're eating out like at a restaurant when it comes to a pizza, because like a large pizza you'll pay like, I don't know, 15 to 20 bucks depending on where you are, and you'll get like X amount of calories, and if you wanted to like kind of match that, like getting different food, whether you're getting like burgers or wings and stuff, it's going to cost a lot more.
Yeah, and protein too.
Yeah, dude. It's a lot
Don't want to smell like ammonia out here.
So fucking good, dude. Oh my god. 12 corn dogs. See, when I saw that just fucking blew my mind. All right, dude. Let's do a story. So you actually already told me this story when we met in Burlington. So you're gonna tell it again for the listeners' pleasure.
Oh, I forgot that I'd actually told you what had happened.
Oh no, that's okay though, because it's a fucking great story and it's perfect for this show. So I do not mind hearing it again. Just so everybody knows, this story involves bodily fluids. So if you,
this is my poop story.
If that freaks you out, I don't know why I didn't. I should have just said poop. If that freaks you out, which if you're a through hiker, it probably doesn't. But just disclaimer here: if you don't want to hear about someone taking a shit, you probably shouldn't listen to this story. With that said, dude, let's hear it.
Well, I should backtrack back to Maine. Have you heard of the guy Ziploc?
No.
Okay, so he got his trail name. I think he was like in his tent or his hammock or something, like early on. Had to take a shit. Couldn't get out of his tent. Like poop.
There's no way he was in a hammock. There's no way he shit in a fucking Ziploc in a hammock. Like that is not a thing. That's just straight up shitting your pants. Like there's no way that fucking worked.
Yeah, whatever was going on, wherever he was stuck at and couldn't get out, he shit in a Ziploc, and that's how he got his trail name. And so fast forward, I hiked. It was like 29.8 miles or something crazy into Duncannon, Pennsylvania. And got there. I mean, it was well past dark. My phone had died. Like I'm roaming the streets of this like stupid town, and made my way to a pizza place. Pigged out, charged my phone, and I'm walking down the road, and the town food hit me, and I'm on my phone googling like gas stations near me, like where can I poop in this town, and everything was lit up, and it was not like a good situation. Like there was no place I could just dig a hole. And so I ducked behind an Assemblies of God church. I grabbed a gallon-sized Ziploc. I pooped in it, and I threw the bag away. It was like some kind of like city, like voter registration building or something. I threw it in the dumpster, and I ended up sleeping behind the church, and the next morning I went to throw the rest of my stuff away. And when I opened up the dumpster, there's nothing in there but this gallon-sized Ziploc of human fecal matter and toilet paper. And I was like, no! Like trying to throw the rest of my trash on it, and I was like, I need to get out of here. And so I hiked on out.
Damn, dude, that's so funny. I feel like of all the towns on the AT that I stopped in, at least, Duncannon is like a pretty fitting town for that because it's kind of a dumpy, like shitty town.
Oh, so. Duncannon, Port Clinton, like both those towns are disgusting.
And that's coming from a through hiker, so that's really saying something.
No, it was terrible.
Dude, that's so fucking funny. Very disgusting, also very funny. Classic Duncannon right there, dude. I think we're gonna on that note, I think we're gonna kind of wrap this up, dude. Thank you so much for taking the time, man. I'm glad we were able to kind of work this out with your hiking. I don't even want to call it a schedule, just like with your life right now, like your life being on the trail. Best of luck to you going forward, man. You've got obviously a decent amount of miles left, but you've come so far. Like you're definitely going to crush it. Stay strong out there. Why don't you plug your Instagram and anything else that you want to plug so that everybody listening can go follow you and pressure you to finish this trail?
Yeah, so it's a walk with Winnie, underscores in between each word. I think if you just search Winnie and Anubis, I think it just pops up. But yeah, walk with Winnie. And yeah, dude, we should totally do this again after I hit Springer.
I was just gonna say that, dude. That would be so tight for sure. We should do it like shortly after you finish. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot going on, but fuck all that. Like we're gonna do it again. That's so awesome, man. You've been a longtime listener and supporter of this show, like from almost the beginning. Like
basically the beginning. I was completely caught up before I started, and then I just didn't want to listen to hiking podcasts while hiking.
Which is very understandable. But dude, I just appreciate the support. I appreciate that you were willing to come on here in the middle of your through hike, dude. Stay strong. Fucking keep crushing those miles. Tell your dog I say hi. Tell everybody else at the hostel I say hi as well. And yeah, dude, best of luck to you.
Oh yeah, the couple I've been hiking with that just got off today for like a week. The girl, she's the one that I told you her first hiking podcast she listened to was you.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
And not her last, probably, because she listened to it and she was like, "Oh fuck this guy, I gotta listen to it."
No. She loves it. She loves it. She's super stoked. Like when they left, they're like, "Good luck on the podcast."
So good, man. So good. Well, shout out to whatever her name is. If
Nightingale.
She listens. What is it?
Nightingale.
Nightingale?
Yeah, she's a nurse, so she ended up with the trail name Nightingale.
Nightingale. Interesting. Well, shit. I am friends with a lot of nurses, so I'm sure hiking is a lot less painful than being a nurse. I guess it depends on what unit. But anyways, yeah, dude, thank you so much. And to everybody listening, thank you as well. Hopefully my drunken rambling wasn't too bad in this episode. Have a good one.